Yeah, next is Mega Man X, which will definitely be longer than Kirby's Avalanche Super Mario World, just because it is a longer game. But it won't be too long. Definitely a lot of Mega Man games, if they're going to be really short, there are more games that depend on how well I know them. So like Mega Man X1, I know very well that I should be able to get through it no problem. I won't be able to do purely any percent though. I don't think I could beat Sigma without heart tanks, but I know where like all the heart tanks are. I know where all the sub tanks are and all the power ups and whatnot. So it probably is going to be more of a 100% run, but that still won't take nearly that long. It may not be true 100%. If there's something I miss, I may not have to really worry about getting much. Whoops. I actually need to change the category. Because I'm playing Mega Man X. No, we're playing Mario World. But X1, I've played and beaten so many times, it'll be no problem to get through. But this is the only X game I'm absolutely sure I can get through pretty comfortably, pretty easily. I don't know about any of the other X games. I don't think I could do 4. I don't know that I could do 3. I might be able to do 2. And I might be able to do 5. And then I'm probably not going to do 6. And I don't know about 7 or 8. But really what makes the X games more awkward to do than the classic games is to beat the game comfortably, you do have to, or at least me not being quite as familiar with the games and quite as good as the games, I would need a lot of the power-ups to make sure I could get through them. And that would mean either finding them or just already knowing where they are. Whereas the classic games, you really don't need any to find any secrets, except maybe in like 7 and 8. But so the classic games might actually be a lot easier for the most part. Or at least I'd probably feel confident doing more of them. So like for the classic series, definitely Mega Man 6 is going to be one to do, because Mega Man 6 is the easiest classic Mega Man game. It's also the best classic Mega Man game, so that's a win-win right there. Mega Man 2 probably wouldn't be too bad. Mega Man 1 can be kind of tricky. Mega Man 3 has some annoying parts, but nothing too terrible. Mega Man 4 would be the only of the SNES ones that I'd really be unsure of. And then Mega Man 5, for the most part, isn't too bad either. And then I'm probably not going to do the Zero games. Definitely not going to do anything like Battle Network or anything. Oh, but the Mega Man Extreme games on Game Boy Color, I don't think those are too difficult. Except, I think there's one fight in Extreme 2, I want to say, that's really annoying. But I don't think the Extreme games are that difficult. Mega Man 2 on Game Boy is a really easy game, actually. I could do that in like an hour. And maybe some of the other original Game Boy Mega Mans. I shouldn't be taking this much damage. Sometimes I'll just like randomly struggle with Chill Penguin. So I actually shouldn't waste too much health. Actually, though, I just realized with Mega Man X3, most of the Mavericks are actually quite easy. I mean, in general, they're not, like, super easy. But what kind of makes them easy is... There's a really easy one to start with. Blizzard Buffalo is just so easy, because he pretty much just runs back and forth. And then, if you use the Maverick's weaknesses on them, then they're really easy. Where do I go after Chill Penguin? Oh yeah, it'd be Storm Eagle. Sometimes I forget the route I usually go, because I don't go weakness order, I go by what power-ups I want. So sometimes I forget. Whereas like Mega Man 6 would just be weakness order and just start with Plant Man so you can get the Rush Jet Adapter as soon as possible. But if you use the Maverick's weaknesses in X3, then they're really easy because they just like reset their pattern every time you hit them with their weakness, so... It's not like you're having to dodge hard attacks while hitting them. You just make sure that you're using their weakness, and then they... Pretty much if you hit them once with their weakness, they're done with. The only really tricky part about it is... The tricky part of X3 isn't necessarily going to be the Mavericks, it's the final boss. Because I remember the final boss of X3 being so difficult. I mean, X3 is generally, I think, considered one of the harder X games. And the main reason it is considered one of the hardest ones is because enemies are so damaging in that game. You just take so much damage from, like, every little thing that maybe wouldn't have been that damaging in X1 or 2. But I think I know X3 well enough to where the 8 Mavericks I could do... I could do quickly enough, or easily enough to where I could get through the game. It's just I don't know about the final boss, and I don't know if I want to commit time to doing a final boss that I don't know how many tries it's going to take me to do when I could do a different game that I think would be easier. Like, there's so many other short, easy games that I don't think I would have to bank on. At least not right now. I don't have to bank on doing Mega Man X3 when I could. Oh, that was just an extra life. I was pretty sure that wasn't the power-up. But I'd check anyway. Yeah, this is where the power-up is. Which is almost a useless power-up, except for that you can get the supercharged shot in Flame Mammoth stage. I don't know how... I guess the super charged shot will let me get the heart tank in Boomer Kawanger stage, so I should probably get it. It really is the... For the final boss of this game, it's just going to be really making sure that I have all the heart tanks, or at least most of the heart tanks, and then just like full sub tanks. But there's a health grinding station like right before the final boss, so I don't have to worry about making sure they're filled up until that point. Because I don't think I'll need them much more throughout the game. But definitely, even this game is definitely not going to be just a full 100% playthrough. Because I really don't think I need the Hadouken. Even though the Hadouken sure could technically, if I happen to have enough health by the time I get to certain boss fights and can pull it off quickly enough, it could kill bosses instantly. But I actually don't think I need that. I think it's going to be a longer time investment to get the Hadouken than it'll be worth to try and use the Hadouken. I did just realize as well that I don't know why, but I was thinking Flame Mammoth's weakness was actually Chill Penguin's weapon, but that's actually not true. His weakness is Storm Eagle's weapon, which I do have, so I do have that covered. I don't think Flame Mammoth is really that hard of a fight without his weakness. But going in with only 4 HP isn't going to be the best. I don't even know if it would be better to use the charged version instead of the normal version. Nah, it's probably best not to use the charged version. Oh, come on. At some point I do want to do a Buster only run of this game. Because I don't think I've ever done that, but it's been something I've wanted to do for quite a while. Which actually, what are the rules to Buster only? Is that just use Buster only always? So even if there's a power up where you, like the heart tank where you need Flame Mammoth's weapon, would you not be able to get that because you would only use Buster only, or is it Buster only just for like the Mavericks? But I actually remember when I first played this game, I struggled a lot with Sting Chameleon without his weakness, because he's really easy with his weakness. And I'm sure I'd be a lot better at Sting Chameleon nowadays. But I don't think I've ever, after learning what his weakness is, I don't know that I've ever tried playing Sting Chameleon without his weakness. But yeah, technically this isn't the fastest way to beat this game. If I was trying to go for absolute fastest, I wouldn't at all be coming back to Chill Penguin stage. But I think it's just going to be very useful for me to get this heart tank. What do I do after Flame Mammoth? It'd have to be Spark Mandrill, right? No, it wouldn't be Spark Mandrill, I don't think, because you need Boomer Kawanger's weapon to get the sub-tank. Oh well. Yeah. Oh well. What else is there? You can still get the heart tank on this visit, right? And I don't think there's a light capsule. What are the other light capsules? There's one in Sting Chameleon stage. And then the... No, that's the last one, because there's only 4. And we already got 3 of them. So the last one would be in Sting Chameleon stage. And again, I don't even know if I'm going to need all 4 sub-tanks, but I mean, I don't know. It'd be so quick to just go back and get the sub-tank in this level. I don't think there would be any point. In just not coming back to get it and risking it being harder to do the final boss. When I could just come back and get a super easy sub-tank. That's not going to take too long. Even if I didn't do it optimally, you know, I could have come back and done Spark Mandrill later. But I think I do normally do Spark Mandrill at this point. Because I have his weakness. I don't think I have the weakness for anyone else, because... Yeah, because Flame Mammoth is effective against Penguin. So at this point I have no one's weakness except for Spark Mandrills, because Spark Mandrill's weak to Penguin. And I don't know, I guess I just am not confident in my abilities to do any boss without their weakness except Penguin and Storm Eagle. But there's probably a few that I could do. I could definitely do Flame Mammoth without his weakness. I don't think Flame Mammoth's a very hard fight. I don't know about the others, though. Oh yeah, but Spark Mandrill with his weakness is actually, like, the easiest fight in the game. After Spark Mandrill is Armored Armadillo, I believe. Yeah, and then after Armored Armadillo is Launch Octopus. After Launch Octopus is Boomer Coinger, and then end with Sting Chameleon. I don't think the Sub-Tank or Art Tank are too hard to get in this stage. But what levels are all the Sub-Tanks in? Because we already have the one from Storm Eagle stage. We have the one from Flame Mammoth stage. Is this the one we have to go behind? Yeah. We have that one. And so the last one is just Spark Mandrill stage, right? Let's just see. Yeah, 3. So the last one is Spark Mandrill stage. That means I don't have to worry about too much other than just Heart Tanks in everyone's stage and the last Light Capsule in Sting Chameleon stage. I forgot that was instant kill. I thought you were supposed to get ahead of him, not you're supposed to get behind him. Launch Octopus is definitely going to be the only one that I don't know that I really remember how to get everything in. But, I mean, there's only one thing to get, right? The Heart Tank? I think I remember to get the Heart Tank. For some reason, I think there's 2 secret areas, but maybe I'm misremembering. Or maybe there's just a secret area that has, like, an extra life in it. Oh. Was that the part I'm supposed to do that at? It's up here, I think. Yeah, you destroy this thing. I guess that's the thing that kind of makes me think there's 2 secrets in this level when there's only 1. Is because there's 2 of these dragons. Or whatever these things are supposed to be. And I think that means that there's 2 secret areas, since one of them is in a secret area, but... No, there's just 2 dragons. There's not 2 secrets. Alright, so the Heart Tank in Boomerang Stage isn't that hard to get. And then I'll be back to Spark Mandrill for the Sub-Tank real quick. And Sting Chameleon. Which, getting the body armor is like a little annoying for Sting Chameleon. Sting Chameleon's Heart Tank and Light Capsule could be kind of annoying to get, but... Other than that, there's only, like, maybe a few kind of annoying parts in Sigma's Fortress. Specifically, the beginning of Sigma's Fortress 1 and the final boss can be tricky. Oh yeah, and Boomer Quanger's stage in general can be kind of annoying. But there's nothing that I should really struggle on. Like, with how confident I am getting through this game and with how easily I have gotten through most of it so far, I don't know if there's any other Mega Man X game that I could do this with. There are classic Mega Man games I can do this with, specifically 6. But yeah, I don't know. Just with how difficult some Mega Man games can be, especially if you're not familiar with them. I just don't know how many Mega Man games, both classic and X, are really going to be viable. Whereas, like, because most Mega Man games are short, so in theory, every Mega Man game just about, except, well, most classic X and probably even Mega Man Zero games would all be pretty easy to do and would all be viable. The problem is with the difficulty, which obviously not all of them are like really difficult. I don't think many of the Mega Man games are insanely hard. At least not the ones I'm familiar with. I haven't played enough of like Mega Man 4 or some of the later X games to really know that for sure. But I just don't know if, like, I've never played Mega Man X8, right? I don't know if someone who's ever played X8 could get through X8 comfortably. Whereas, like, an easier game series like Kirby games are also really short, and Kirby games are usually pretty easy. So even though I'm not really all that familiar with, like, say, Kirby Squeak Squad or Triple Deluxe, I'm pretty sure even without having really played much of those, and in fact, I don't know that I've ever played Triple Deluxe, I think I could still get through them easily, despite never having played them before, despite it would be my first playthrough. But yeah, it's just Mega Man games I don't know about. But I don't know, maybe I'll look into it, see like what Mega Man games people say, what people say about the difficulty. If people say X8 is generally not a very difficult or a very long game, then I would be down to try Mega Man X8. But I still don't know about like X3, probably won't do X6. Probably won't do Mega Man 4. I don't know. Like, for the most part, I think doing every Kirby game would pretty much be viable, except maybe a few of the spin-offs. Like, I don't know how you would necessarily define beating Air Ride. If your definition is triggering the credits, then that would mean you would have to get 100 checkboxes in at least one of the game modes, which could be long, but maybe not really for Top Ride. Top Ride would be pretty easy to get 100 in, I think. But if your definition would be get 100 checkboxes in all 3 game modes, now that would probably be a bit longer, mostly thanks to City Trial. And I don't know if I would be down to do that, but and there's also the point of Star Stacker. Star Stacker is not too long. Star Stacker, depending on your definition, if your definition is just beat any of the difficulties, then normal mode's that's a 5-minute run. I don't think I would count that. But if you were to beat all the difficulties, which is pretty much that's the full game, you know, because all the difficulties are just more of the game. It's not the same game, but with slightly different level layouts. It's like completely different levels on each difficulty. If you were to count just doing all the difficulties, that's still not very long. That's maybe maybe a bit longer than I would like, because Insane takes quite a while, but you're looking at like 5 minutes for normal, about 15 for hard, maybe 20 for very hard, 30 for super hard, and like 3 hours for Insane. That wouldn't be too long, but it still is like kind of long. But still probably wouldn't be too big of an issue. That might still be one that would be good to do eventually. But not anytime soon. Probably should have just removed all those rocks. Oh, that sends you just straight back to the beginning of the level. That's interesting. I mean, it feels like that was longer part of the level just because... It was, obviously I did that fight, but in actuality, that's not really that far into the level at all. Is that water only there if you beat Armored Armadillo stage? Because I know things in this game change depending... In some stages change depending on what levels you've already done. Like, the reason there's a lot of ice in Flame Mammoth stage is because I beat Chill Penguin stage first. The reason it was so dark in Spark Mandrill stage is because I beat Storm Eagle stage first. And there are examples of not being able to get certain upgrades unless if you do the right order of levels. Like, you can't get the Heart Tank in Flame Mammoth stage unless if you do Chill Penguin stage first. I think, actually, there may be some way to get that Heart Tank without beating Chill Penguin first. Like, maybe you could use Boomer Kalanger's weapon. I actually don't know. I don't know that anyone would know that, because who doesn't start with Chill Penguin? But it might be possible without it. But I don't know, just there being water at that point to get the Heart Tank in the stage does make me think that that's probably only there if you beat Launch Octopus first. I may have said Armored Armadillo earlier, but I meant Launch Octopus. Obviously, Launch Octopus would be the Maverick associated with water, because he has the water level. Which I actually just realized, this game actually has a water level that isn't horrible. Really, a lot of Mega Man games do. Because a lot of what makes water levels so bad is because they restrict your movement. You move just so slow. in water levels, or it's just awkward to control and it just destroys the pace of the game. But in Mega Man games, you typically don't lose any of your momentum. All that really happens is you get higher jumps, but your movement speed is the same. So in some cases, water levels in Mega Man games can actually be more fun than normal levels, which is interesting. Because I was thinking earlier, I don't know what game I was playing yesterday that had water level. Oh yeah, Wrath of Cortex. But I was thinking the only game I knew of at the time that had like good water levels was Rystar. But I actually think Mega Man games can have some pretty good water levels as well. But yeah, before we get to the Sigma stages, I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Whoops. It's the wrong button. Okay. Yeah, all that's left are the Sigma stages, which I actually don't have quite as much confidence in doing the Sigma stages as I do the Maverick stages. And I think that's because I used to run 8 Mavericks in this game. So I became very, very familiar with the 8 Mavericks stages, but not with the Sigma stages. So I think it should still be fine. Sigma stages aren't like super terrible, except this part. I hate this part, but like they shouldn't be too bad. But it's just I'm not quite so familiar with them as I am the Mavericks. Which I think would be different for Mega Man 6, actually. I'm not nearly as familiar with Mega Man 6 as I am this game, but every time I've played Mega Man 6, I've just beaten the game rather than doing just the 8 Robot Masters. So I would be probably a bit more confident with Mega Man 6 as a full game, whereas if we were just doing A Mavericks versus A Robot Masters, I'm more familiar with A Mavericks in this game. Now here's something, I actually don't remember what Vile's weakness is. Wait. Are you supposed to lose to him again? Because he doesn't have a health bar. Yeah, I think you're just supposed to lose to him again. But I think he's weak to Spark Mandrill's weapon, I want to say. Maybe it's not Spark Mandrill's weapon. No, it seems to be kind of working. I mean, it's always doing enough damage to where I don't necessarily need to change, but what is his weakness actually? Is it Humming Torpedo? Might be Humming Torpedo. I just hope I didn't need Spark Mandrill's weapon for the end boss of this level. What is the end boss of this level? It's Rangda Bangda, that's Stink Chameleon's weapon, which I also use, so I hope it's not Rangda Bangda. It was just one of the refights, right? Is this Chill Penguin? No, Boomer Kawanger. There's a grinding spot at the end of the game where you can grind for health for sub-tanks, so I don't need to really worry about trying not to use them right now. Oh, Bow Spider is this boss. I remember when I first played this game, I had so much trouble on Bow Spider. But he really isn't that hard. There are probably 4 Sigma stages, I would assume. I don't really quite remember. Okay, but you do get all your weapon ammo back. Alright, this is Chill Penguin. Yeah, it looks like this game's probably gonna hit the over 1 hour mark. Which is fine. But still, being... It looks like it's gonna be around 2 hours when I'm done with Mega Man X. So 3 games in 2 hours is pretty good. And after this, it'll be 10 games beaten, which is a tenth of the current goal, which is 100 games. Which means that we would be a tenth of the way done with the current goal in only 3 days. Of an entire year, of which there's over 300 days. So it's seeming like 100 games will be very easy. But then it's going to be about moving beyond 100 games. How far can we go? But yeah, this is why I didn't use Stink Chameleon's weapon on Storm Eagle. Because Stink Chameleon is quite an easy fight without his weakness, whereas this guy can be very annoying. I guess he's not so annoying though, but obviously it's a lot faster to use his weakness, which honestly I probably could have used Stink Chameleon's weapon on Storm Eagle and still had enough to beat the fight, this fight, because that didn't take many shots at all. I think one thing I need to do is I need to, when I go to judge how hard or how long some of these games are going to be, I need to stop thinking about it as I traditionally have. Because a lot of times when I think about difficulty of games or length of games, I'm going based on how they were when I played them as a kid. And obviously some things are just extremely difficult as a kid that aren't that hard now. So I need to start trying to think in terms of what can I do now, not how have I always thought of it. But after this, I'm going to have to set up a different console, probably. I don't know if I have any other really short SNES games. I mean, I do have Puyo Puyo on Super Famicom, but I can't play that on an SNES. I'd have to go find my Super Famicom. I don't know where it is, though. But even with trying to think of my capabilities with games now, instead of thinking just how I've always thought of them, I still don't know that I can do X3. I don't know if I can. Which that's definitely something to think about. Is there's a lot of like really short NES, SNES, GBA, Game Boy games, you know. But kind of at that point, it's not just a question of length, it's also a question of difficulty. If I can't beat the game because it's difficult, or it's going to take me a lot longer than it would technically take to beat because I'm having to learn the game, then I don't know if I would even be able to do it that well. So that's definitely something to consider as well. But I would definitely look into, like, what do people say about certain games? Because obviously I know, like, for NES, right, like, the original Castlevania would probably be pretty short. I don't know that I can beat the original Castlevania, though, that quickly, because I'm not familiar enough with the game to be able to complete it very quickly. But what about, like, Super Castlevania 4? Is that game all that difficult or long? I don't know. As of right now, the only Castlevania game that I probably will be able to do, and probably will actually do, would be Area of Sorrow on the Game Boy Advance. Because that's a game that kind of beating it is really just knowing where to go. And I've beaten that game a couple times, so I would pretty much know where to go. Yeah, all that's left is to grind on health for sub-tanks. And then it's just the final boss. Is that only, it's only one sub-tank filled? Oh well. I'm just gonna fill all of them, because even though that'll take longer, I don't want to fill up, like, only 2 of them and then die to the final boss, and I feel like I have to fill up 4 anyway, so I'm just gonna fill up all 4, as I'm gonna take that much longer to do. It's just a shame they're not guaranteed to give you health. Because in between deaths, it's gonna keep your ammo, right? So it would be good to be able to grind on ammo as well. But I wish this game did what, like, some games do. Like some games would do, where if you have full ammo, then you wouldn't be able to get ammo drops. Which I can understand if they specifically didn't want to do that, because that would make getting health a lot easier and might actually make the game in general a lot easier. But it definitely would be convenient. Especially just for this part. Probably shouldn't even be going for these lives. I have 9. Alright. Now it's time to actually do the final boss. Which, with all sub-tanks, it shouldn't be too bad. Final boss is partially why X1's the only one I'm really confident in, because I know the final boss of X3 is, like, ridiculously hard. But then I don't remember the final boss of X2. So I don't know if I could do that comfortably enough if I don't remember the fight. Mega Man X games usually don't necessarily have easy final bosses. I forgot there were 3 phases to this fight. Also, I might consider this to be the harder phase. Alright. By getting to the final phase and not having used the sub-tank so far, that's pretty good. Right. Didn't even need all 4 sub-tanks. That's Mega Man X. An hour 12? That's not too bad. But that does bring us to 10 games beaten. Which means we are 1/10 of the way to the current 100 games goal. And there still are just so many really short games left to do. In fact, I've only been going for 2 hours right now, so I could find something else short. Something from 1 to 3 hours. Which I probably will try and set up GBA. Because I feel like there's some really short GBA games I could do. And there might just be so many of them that it would be good to just keep doing a bunch of GBA games. Whereas like SNES, I've kind of exhausted a lot of the SNES games I know already. There might be more that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head.